I think what you're saying, Reverend Thoma, is that rather than thinking of Christianity as a kind of a Sunday operation in which the pastor says, this hour and a half belongs to me, and this is the time where I kind of clean things up for the whole week and send you out into the next week. You're saying that a Christian spirit needs to brood over the land Monday through Sunday.
I am. And if Christians are serious about that last portion of their worship service, and I'm speaking from a confessional, conservative, biblical pastor's position or perspective, where we enjoy a liturgy and we have our service ends with a benediction. The benedicere is the Latin. It goes well with you. That benediction is not meant to send you out and say, well, we'll see you in a week. That's God's promise, his name being put on his people and saying, I am going with you to exist in a world where you are now a force to reckon with in that world. You are not, it's not just you're kind of getting by with your head down. No, I am with you in this world, and you are living out that Christian faith in the community, whether it's, no matter where it is or what it is, you are carrying who you are. Maybe not even what you are, but who you are in Christ out into that world, and you're affecting change there. You're affecting influence. And I would say too, I'd add to that, if pastors are not preaching in that way, if they're not teaching their people this reality, they're really only working part-time, and their salary should probably reflect that. They might not like hearing it, but
and I mean that's a great point. And not only that, but aren't those pastors who are, let's call them the Sunday pastors, aren't they in effect saying that what they have to teach has basically nothing to do with the world? Because they don't engage. I think I saw a little segment where a pastor, this was the Sunday after Charlie's assassination, and he said something to the effect of, well, I'm going to say one thing and one thing only, and that's all I have to say about Charlie Kirk. And then he addressed the topic for like 17 seconds, and in an extremely blasé way, such that you would have thought that this was just a blip on the cultural landscape. And I think what you're saying is no, that if we have a living and vital Christianity, it's going to have a lot to say, not just about the next world, but about this world, about your life, about the things going on in Washington, about the war that's going on in the Middle East, about tariffs. Christianity is a comprehensive view of the world, and it does have moral precepts that are applicable to the entire sphere of human existence. Correct?
I agree. And again, part of the problem, so I've sort of coined a phrase, and I call it confessional apathy. And it applies mainly to confessional Lutheranism, which I claim to be a confessional Lutheran, which means we subscribe to the historic rites and ceremonies. We think this is the best way to carry the faith of those who came before us into the future and beyond. That's the faith that doesn't roll over in the flames when they come. But as far as confessional apathy, what I mean is that we do have too many guys who will simply say, well, preach the word, administer the sacrament. So word and sacrament, but let God handle the rest. Now, that's sort of to assume, going back to that thought relative to the benediction, that somehow when you walk through those church doors, there's some sort of invisible screen there that filters out everything that God has just given to you to empower you for enduring in the world and for being effectual in the world. When in reality, everything is Christological. Everything is to be viewed through the lens of the gospel. And what we're teaching our people when we preach this way is that, well, maybe abortion isn't something the church should be talking about. That's political. Maybe we shouldn't be talking about the LGBTQ incorporated jackboots. That's political. No, I'm sorry. These things are Christological. And if they're Christological, that means the church already owns them. And it means that the church has a responsibility to preach and teach about them. 13 and a half seconds given as a sort of a passing comment about one of the martyrdom of one of our own that doesn't make any sense to me. There are people who are hurting, who need to understand Christian suffering, the tentatio, as Luther would call it, in the world. And here's your opportunity to preach and teach the resurrection, the victory of Christ, and to do it focused on that moment, bringing hope and bringing giving an empowerment to go out and be that in the same way that Charlie was. That takes more than 13 seconds. That takes a commitment to understanding the Christological nature of what preaching is, what teaching is, what the church is all about. And I do think we're losing that. I have other opinions on why, but I think we are losing that in many ways.
When I first came to America around 1980, I had $500 in my pocket. That's it. Now, if I'd been really frugal and not spent a penny of that money, what do you think it would be worth now? What could it actually buy now compared to what it could buy in 1980? Well, the answer, less than $130. Now, why is that? Because the US government, through the Fed, is constantly printing money and devaluing your money. When the government prints money, there's more money chasing the same amount of goods and services. So guess what? Money goes down in value. Money buys less. The Fed has been at it since 1913. That's why a dollar today can buy just what a few cents could buy in 1913. And the government continues to print oceans of money. It really never stops. Now, an ounce of gold reached a high of $850 in 1980. It's worth now around $3,900 an ounce. So historically, over time, we see gold has gone up and up in value. Dollars have gone down and down. And what about in the last 12 months? Gold is up over 40%. I believe now is the time to find out how you can diversify your savings with gold and silver. And this is why I've partnered with Goldco. They offer the best customer service for precious metals ownership. They are also the only gold dealer that offers a first-time gold buyer rebate of up to 10% in bonus silver on qualified purchases. There's no better offer out there, so take advantage. To learn more about how to safeguard your savings from the dollar's decline, go to dineshgold.com. Very simple, easy to remember, dineshgold.com.